Hi guys, Everyday Knife Guy here with another one of these videos that I very loosely call a pocket dump because it's more of a selection of the gear that I'm carrying in this month or period or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, the reason I'm making this one is because this area here is a pretty big change for how I carry my gear and the stuff that I have with me actually on my body as opposed to in my vehicle or in my go bag or whatever. So there's a few changes. And yeah, let's start with the fun stuff that everyone wants to see, which is of course the blades. Two main blades I'm kind of changing between when I leave the house at the moment. First one is the Spyderco Bob Terzola Starmate. Really cool blade. Wasn't too sold on this when I got it, but with use, I'm really enjoying this. It's one of the more interesting or eclectic looking Spydercos, if you will. The handle is really nothing special, as I touched on in a review I posted I think a couple of weeks ago. But the blade is very cool. A lovely saber ground blade. And really nice action on it, quite fun to play with. Oops. Quick deployment, really solid lockup, and a great using knife. Decent ergonomics for day-to-day tasks, you can see there. And fairly slim carry in the pocket. I mean, you can see how thin those slabs of G10 are there. Stainless steel liners. A little look at the blade. VG10 steel, made in Japan. And Terzola makers, oops. A little smudge on there, excuse me. Bob Terzola maker's logo there. Very cool blade. Really enjoying that one. So that's been one of my carry blades. The other one is this that I've also had a couple of videos on before. This is the Boker Excalibur 1, the larger of the two Excalibur models. This is the Decade Edition. Sorry, there's finger marks all over these blades. I really should have cleaned them a bit better before I started this. Let me see if I can grab a cloth here. This blade and handle is a bit of a fingerprint magnet at the best of times. You can see there, Decade Edition. Beautiful, almost full flat ground blade. Polished satin blade with polished flats. Number 403 of 600 limited. Carbon fiber. Front flipper design. A little bit different from your usual flipper. And very quick deployment. Oops, a lot of fun to play with. So we can get a good one for you. Does take a little bit getting used to, but once you have it, it's a lot of fun. Again, fairly slim profile for the pocket, so that's a nice carry blade. Both of them quite long. I don't know what the blade length is in this, must be nearly 4 inches. But it's, yeah, pretty practical blade for every day, and a lot of fun to play with in a spare moment. So that's two main blades. Up here, I'm just going to show these. I've shown these in one or two videos before. This is my sort of everyday Oakleys. These are 5 squared. And I'm actually showing these because I'm interested in getting a replacement for these sometime this fall. I'm not too into the more wacky styles or the really thick-legged Oakleys, but I am looking at Oakley again because they're just the brand I kind of always go to. I think they're very cool. I've loved these sunglasses, but they're getting a little loose and a little floppy, and could be time for a change. These are the Ducati edition with the red O's on them and polarized lenses, so yeah, looking for something similar. Anyone got any suggestions of the more toned down designs? I think it was a crankcase I was looking at I quite liked, but I can't remember exactly. So yeah, suggestions welcome. Let's go over here. So this is the big change for me this time around. I've always kind of had gear floating around the bottom of my pocket, and I've kind of looked at a way of organizing it. Part of what spurred that was I just got a new KeySmart. Now, you know I'm a bit of a fan of these, and I just got sent this titanium one, which is very cool. So I have all my kind of home keys and house keys and, you know, day-to-day stuff on there. I have a separate one for all my work keys that I've already shown in a few videos. So that's titanium KeySmart 2.0 is on there. The hanger itself is a Night Eyes, what do they call it? I forget the name of this, but it's normally it has a little spring latch in there that I've actually taken off, so it's more of a pocket hook. And I like this rather than just like a circular key ring or split ring, because it has this kind of elongated slot here, which means if you have a lot of gear hanging like this, it can hang separately and actually space out. If you have more of a tight radius circle, it tends to bunch more. So this actually hangs really nicely in my pocket, and it looks pretty bulky, but actually that hangs against the outside fabric of your jeans or shorts or whatever, and leaves plenty of room for a wallet or your hand or whatever else is going in there. So finding this is working really quite well for me. And of course these are all detachable. They have little Night Eyes S-binders on them. Oops. which are a little tricky in places, but there you go. So you can detach whatever gear you want. So I have keys there. On my second one, I have a Swiss Army knife and also a Through Night TI3 EDC single AAA flashlight, which is very useful. And this is something that I before kind of struggled to find a place for. I wouldn't always have one in my pocket. And of course, sod's law, when you don't have it, you need it. So I'm enjoying having that all the time. Here we have Victorinox Rambler. I did a video on that before. Good little 2-layer small Swiss Army knife. Lots of tools on there. Crosshead screwdriver, cap lifter, knife, and scissors. It's very useful. So that's kind of a backup knife. Here I have a small capsule, a waterproof capsule. If I can unscrew this. In there I just have $20 Canadian, emergency cash. It's always very useful. Really doesn't take up much room, and yeah, emergency, but sometimes you know, you just need cash and you don't have any, and it does get used quite a lot, so very, very useful. I have a little Night Eyes doohickey tool, which has a couple of different wrench sizes, a small and fairly useless ruler, cap lifter, and of course a little pry bar, which is quite useful. So it's actually supposed to be a box cutter. I don't know if I can get the light to catch this corner. You can see it's actually beveled off on this corner to be a box cutter. It works okay, but I mean, usually I have at least this or 2 other knives on me, so it doesn't get used a whole lot, but you know, nice to have in an emergency. And the last thing, and why I like the kind of modular idea I have going on here, is car keys. So these are my truck keys. I have a separate set for my wife's car on a different clip. So if I'm just in the house or going out on foot or whatever, just clip those off and leave them at home. Take this lot. If my wife's taking her keys or whatever and really don't need mine, take this off and leave this at home. If I have, for example, this is my main blade and this other Swiss Army knife in the bottom of my pocket because it's a large one, just take this off. So you get the idea. It's totally modular, and I can arrange what I have with me at all times, which is nice. Everything stays organized, and you know, when I come in the house, just hang this wherever or drop this in my bag or wherever I want to keep it. So I find that's working really well for me, and I'll probably just expand and develop this as time goes on to get the ideal setup for me. So the Rambler I have changed out now and again with the Classic. I hear the sort of standard Classic SD. This is the camo version. I did a video on this recently. I really like the camo on this. I think it's a very cool little carry piece, so sometimes switch this out with the Rambler on the Night Eyes keyring there. So that covers that, I think. Now, leading on from that, one thing I do find is that, you know, I already said it doesn't take up a huge amount of space in my pocket, but we still have this horrible old, I think it's a fossil leather wallet. You can see how fat that is. It's ridiculous. So yeah, even in fairly spacious jeans, you're a little pushed to have this and that in your front right pocket. I don't like carrying this in my back pocket. I just find it uncomfortable. So yeah, I'm definitely in the market for finding a thinner one of these. I'm actually going out later today to do a bit of shopping, and we'll be looking for a thinner wallet. So hopefully by the next video, you will see something slimmer and a little more appropriate. I touched on the other knife that I sometimes carry. This is the Victorinox one-handed Trekker German Army Edition. Did a review on this before. Partially serrated blade. You can see it's getting a bit of use there. And yeah, this is a really cool knife. A few decent tools on there. A proper full-size sort of hardcore crosshead screwdriver. So that's pretty useful. What else do we have on here? Standard large flathead screwdriver, cap lifter, can opener. Pull that out there. No scissors on this one, but it does have saw as well, if I can see where that's at. Well, let's close this up. How do I get that open? There you go. Yeah, and a fairly beasting saw on it too, which obviously doesn't get a lot of use, but it's quite nice to have sometimes. And yeah, that's a pretty cool kind of full-size multi-tool that sometimes I would just carry in the bottom of my front right pocket and dispense with the Victorinox on the keyring. So that's the other knife. Finally, the phone that I'm filming this on is my Galaxy S6, which I still love. It's in an OtterBox case. I forget the name of the case, but it's the more serious protection. So it's the full-on one, and find that really good. It's been dropped a few times, no damage. And that is represented here by this, which is my BlackBerry Bold. You can see there from a few years ago. Loved this phone. It was just completely revolutionized how I run my sort of personal business and life. And yeah, you can see this got pretty well used. It's in a bit of poor state now, but This thing was a brick and seemed like a big phone at the time. Now it seems absolutely miniature, but anyway, that is there to represent my cell phone. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching this update. I'll be back in a month or two, I guess, probably with some refinements to this, and hopefully a new one of these, and probably these will change, and maybe even that. So thanks for watching, I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.